الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا إنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وحبيبه بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة فكشف الله به الغمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين فصلوات ربي وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Indeed, all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We thank Him, we seek His guidance, forgiveness, we seek refuge in Him, subhanahu. We bear witness that there is no God, Lord, or deity worthy of worship except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that Muhammad is His final messenger and prophet. May peace and blessings be upon him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. O you who believe, have taqwa, have consciousness, fear, and awareness in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and do not leave this life except in a state of Islam. I'm sure over the past few weeks we've heard a lot about Ramadan, but honestly, with just a few days left, I can't help except but to add on to that momentum and to say a few words. I'm sure we heard a lot about the virtues of this coming month. So inshallah, my khutbah will be a series of small reminders or thoughts that we can have as we are entering this blessed month. First is, we magically think or believe that inshallah on the first day of Ramadan, we're all going to become super believers, super mu'mineen, super muhsineen, and that overnight we're all just going to transform and be able to do everything that perhaps we want to achieve in Ramadan. It's kind of like the notion of a New Year's resolution, thinking that on this specific day, I'm going to start changing my life. And while Ramadan is indeed a special time, and it's not comparable in that sense to a New Year's or any other time, the fact of the matter remains is that إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. That if we're expecting some magical transformation on the first day of Ramadan, we have to start. We have to be the ones to strive and put the effort first. We have to change something in ourselves for that to be able to happen. And basically that's not going to happen out of nowhere. And inshallah I'll touch more on this in the second part of the khutbah. But the first thought basically is we need to remove this thought, this idea that there's a magical change that's going to happen on Tuesday, inshallah, as we enter Ramadan, and we're all going to become super believers, but that's not, we have to work on that from now. The second thought is that we need to reflect on what we did last Ramadan. We need to see how we performed in our past. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in the Quran of stories of Bani Israel and the prophets before, not just as stories to entertain us, but rather, more importantly, stories to extract lessons and wisdoms from. And that also applies to our lives. If something didn't work for me today, am I going to try the same thing today? If I was speeding on the highway yesterday and I got into an accident, am I still going to speed again today? And that's one of the big differences between us and animals, is that the same mouse that died in a mouse trap hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago when humans invented the first type of mousetrap, we still use that same mousetrap till today and it still works. Because they don't learn from what happened to others or what happened to themselves. But us, we need to reflect. And if we're going to be better than that mouse that keeps getting caught in that mousetrap, or that their ancestors were caught in that mousetrap, we need to reflect on how we did Ramadan, last Ramadan. Did we do what we were hoping to achieve? Did we achieve what we were hoping to achieve? Were we successful in our journey last Ramadan, or were we not? And we need to act upon that this Ramadan. But there's another measure as well, which is what happened after last Ramadan. If we were able to achieve some level of progress, some improvement, some extra ibadah, and so on, where is that today? Where did that translate to after Ramadan ended and throughout the months that followed? The third thought that I had about Ramadan is just like last year, we are living through a pandemic which has its own constraints and its own challenges. But let's look at the bright side. Let's look at the glass half full side. With this pandemic, I think it gives us more time to spend in ibadah, in tafakkur, in looking at the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in spending time with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in spending time with our family. I believe that with this pandemic, the constraints that we have to abide by, there's actually a bright side to it. And inshallah that translates into how we build our relationship with the Quran and with other ibadat. The fourth thought is that in Ramadan, or throughout the year, we always blame shaitan for what's going on. But in Ramadan, that's gone. So we start to see our true nafs in Ramadan. Are we النفس الأمارة بالسوء, or are we النفس اللوامة, or are we النفس المطمئنة? Do we have a nafs that's constantly telling us to do bad? Do we have a nafs that's struggling? We make mistakes sometimes, but we move to improve it? Or do we have a nafs that really pushes us towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And again, this month of Ramadan, there's no better time than to transform who we are and what our soul is like than this blessed and holy month. And the fifth and last point, reflecting on that, is not just in transforming ourselves. This Ramadan is a boot camp that we can use to build a new habit, that we can use to change our lives. Spiritually, mentally, physically, this is our opportunity for change. This is a month that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us with so many blessings, with so many features that, again, I'm sure were covered in khutab before, but really this is our opportune moment to see change in ourselves. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فيفوز المستغفرين. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Now, those are some thoughts that I had about Ramadan. Now, maybe some more practical things that we can do to, inshallah, make this Ramadan successful, to, inshallah, be able to achieve something this Ramadan. The first piece of advice is we start today. We don't start on the day of Ramadan. We don't start tomorrow. We start now. We start from the prayer we are performing, the ibadah we are performing, moving onwards. Anything that was supposed to start at a later date will just keep getting pushed. But really, we need to start now. Quite frankly, it's already tight. We should have been preparing for Ramadan long ago. But at least, the least we can do is make use of the 3 days we have now to get into the spirit, into the habit of what we want to do in Ramadan. The second is actually setting a plan, having an idea of what we want to do in Ramadan. We need to think this out, obviously, from an ibadah perspective. What are we looking to achieve? For example, what did we do last Ramadan? And let's kick it up a notch. So what are we planning on doing this Ramadan? How much Quran? How much qiyam? What types of ibadah? are we looking to do? Can we maybe do sadaqah on a daily basis, or keeping a constant link with a family member, making a phone call every day? Think of all the ibadat, all the good deeds that we can perform, and put a concrete, solid plan to achieve that this Ramadan. And it needs to be achievable and measurable. So let's make sure when we're looking at something, we're being realistic. I'm not looking to finish the Quran every day when last year I struggled to finish it maybe once in Ramadan. It's unrealistic. But let's just put something that's slightly better and something that we think is inshallah achievable, so we get to that. But also the other side of that is balancing between our spiritual, what we want to get out of Ramadan spiritually, but also how do we balance that with our physical well-being. If we're not taking care of our body, if we don't have a plan for having a light iftar and not eating too much at iftar, how are we going to perform Taraweeh? So there's a physical perspective that we really need to think about and really need to plan for. And again, we only have a few days to do that. And there's a mental part. How are we going to keep steadfast and sane in this Ramadan, bi'idhnillah? The last piece of advice that I have in relation to Ramadan is don't be afraid to be judged by others for being a Ramadan person. There's a different conversation at the end of Ramadan. But today, our fear should not be, I was not good for the past 10, 11 months. How am I really going to transform now? No, we have the opportunity. This is our opportunity to change. And I'm not saying that we become a Ramadan person and at the end of Ramadan we drop it, but rather I'm saying if our last 11 months were not an A+ grade month, then let's strive this month to start that habit, to start that A+ month. And let's not judge others who are striving to do that. We all struggle. We all struggle with keeping up with what we need to do and staying away from bad and so on. So it's not our position to judge others on what they're doing, but rather it's our position to help them, to help ourselves, and to move together as brothers and sisters towards this. And this is similar to the intention. If you found yourself getting up to pray sunnah because someone was looking at you, of course, that's the wrong intention. If you're coming to do ibadah because someone is there, you're trying to impress someone. But it's even worse to stop at that point when you make this realization that I'm only doing this because of someone. It's wrong to stop the ibadah at that point because you realize this intention. But rather, at that point we need to clarify our intention, renew our intention that this is now for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that I will continue to do this even when that whoever I'm trying to impress is not there. Similarly with Ramadan, if I wasn't doing well in the last couple of months, this is my chance to step it up. This is my chance to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a chance where we all need to, I know we will be mostly isolated with the current situation, but we are all connected inshallah through our belief and through support, and alhamdulillah through the multiple avenues of digital communication that we have these days that will allow for that inshallah. Last but not least, and unrelated to the rest of this khutbah directly, please stay safe. Please, a reminder to follow the COVID-19 protocols, first and foremost for all of our safety, but also the municipalities are very strict with enforcing this, especially in places of worship where we do have traffic and we do see a lot of people. There is scrutiny, there is oversight, and there's warnings issued. There's a warning issued for previous incidents, so please do your best for our safety and to not block out the ability of our brothers and sisters to use this masjid. Think of it this way: if we are a reason why this masjid or any masjid gets shut down, how will we stand on the day of judgment in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and answer that because of our negligence, our brothers and sisters were not able to use a place of worship and were not able to congregate in a place of worship. So again, please stay safe, please follow the protocols, عباد الله، إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بلغنا رمضان، اللهم بلغنا رمضان، اللهم بلغنا رمضان. اللهم تقبل صيامنا وقيامنا وسائر أعمالنا واجعلنا فيه من عتقائك من النار. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فيا فوز المستغفرين وأقم الصلاة.